Be 18 and ready to fight for America. Not hardcore enough for Marines, so call up the good old army. A few visits with a recruiter and trip to the MEP center near me, and I am signing my contract. Time for basic rolls around, Fort Benning. Get there and hear the normal bullshit rumors from other privates that I am sure everyone hears. Second day in, and it's time for us to get our medical shots and vaccines. Terrified of needles, so can't wait. Watching people in front of me get their shots, one in left arm, two in right. My turn comes up. Feel prick in left, prick in right. Another prick in right, prick in left. Wait, what? Once we are all done, start asking around of how many shots people got. Find about a few other guys that got it, 4 or 5 in total. Don't recall exactly. So we laugh it off as us not being up to date on shots or something. Fast forward through basic. 3 times in the 9 weeks I'm there, we get a visit from some medic Joe to grab a few people for random screenings. Each time this happens, we are all in the selected group. Get asked questions by PA that seem normal, how we are feeling, any sick feelings, had any new urges. Ask PA what he means by urges. Asks me if I felt any sexual urges or found myself getting angry quicker than usual. Laugh at him. I'm at an all-male basic. There is testosterone and sexual frustration everywhere since nobody is getting laid. Goes on to ask me about my sleeping, around what time I get tired, what I dream about, how many times a night I wake up. Seems odd, but figure they're just checking to see how we're coping. We all chat a little after when we can, joking we're being screened for some new bioweapon. Graduation rolls around and we go all separate ways, but exchange numbers, Facebooks, just something to stay in touch. Get to new unit, make friends quick. One night, we're all talking about basic and who had it the worst. I asked them about their shots and vaccines. The ones who recall it don't recall how many they got, but we're pretty sure it was free. About 3 weeks into my new place, one of my basic bros starts chatting with me more. Starts asking me shit about how I like the new place and whatnot, but he seems off, like he's spooked. I figure it's just him being in a new place, and he seemed pretty socially awkward, so maybe not fitting in. One night, he asks if I can Skype, exchange screen names, and he calls me over the weekend. The guy looks like hammered hell. His eyes have deep bags under them, and his eyes are wide and slightly wild looking. I ask him what's going on, and the guy starts to break down, says something is going on with him, that he can't sleep for shit. And when he does, he is having these terrible nightmares of him killing people and stuff like that. But each time in the nightmare, it's like he's watching from inside his body, that he can't control what happens. I tell him it's probably just from being in a new place and away from family for a bit. He yells at me and tells me that isn't all, that he's been getting visits from some guys who come to the unit and ask to speak with him. Says they don't look military with their haircuts and facial hair, but say they're with the army and are there to ask him some questions about his basic training experience. They claim they're part of a new section that randomly selects recent basic graduates to make sure that they didn't get fucked over during the training and to make sure the drill sergeants are doing their jobs. However, they also start to ask a lot of medical questions, similar to the ones we got in basic. He says when they spoke last, he told them of the nightmares and they seemed to become more alert. Said one of them excused himself to make a call, and the other asked him to explain the nightmares in detail. At this point he is sobbing and clearly not alright. I tell him he needs to go to sick call or something and go talk to someone. He seems to get it back under control and says he will do that and ends the Skype call. It's late at this point, and I have to be up early, so I crash out soon after. Next day, I hit up the other guys from basic, asking if they spoke to him. A couple says he got in touch and confirmed he told them the same shit through text and whatnot. A week passes and no contact. I start to get a little bit worried and call him. Get the little voice message to tell me the number isn't in service anymore. Go to message him on Skype, but no replies. Go to message him on Facebook, but his account has been deleted. Getting a little worried now. Look up other random people from basic, that went to the same base he did. Find out a handful are there. Message them all asking if they know which unit he went to. One replies that they got to the same unit and says, "He didn't hear?" I explain the Skype call and shit to him. He tells me he will get in touch later with the full details. So, turns out the guy had a full-on mental break, he claims. Said they were in formation one day, and the guy just lost it, started screaming and holding his head. He then falls backwards and his eyes roll up and starts to have what they assume is a seizure. Platoon sergeant runs over, taking off his belt, which he shoved in the guy's mouth to prevent him from biting off his tongue. Says this lasts for about a minute or so before he stops and looks to have passed out. They carry him to the little medical sick call building and lay him on an exam table. Since the guy telling me this went to basic with him, he is basically the only guy who talked to him really, so they have him sit with him while the higher-ups talk to the medical people. Says he sat there for about an hour until the platoon sergeant comes back in. This time, with what sounds like the civilian medical guys he'd explained to me. Says they excused him and told him he wasn't needed anymore. He asked if he would be okay, and says the platoon sergeant tells him again he is not needed and to get back to the company. About halfway back, he hears his name yelled and looks back to see his platoon sergeant jogging toward him. He asks him if seizure guy had told him anything. Explains he was talking about nightmares and shit, but that's about it. Platoon sergeant leans in closer and says, "If those guys talk to you, say you don't know shit." Sure enough, later that day, he gets a call to come up to the company. Gets there and sees two civilian guys waiting. They take him to a conference room and start asking him about seizure kit. He explains that they went to basic together, but never really spoke. One opens up a big notebook and reads a few things before nodding his head, as though confirming they went to the same basic. Shut the notepad and asks what they talked about when they hung out. Buddy says they only hung out a few times and did not talk about anything serious. At this point, he says the one talking just stares at him for what feels like an eternity without blinking. The guy finally breaks the death gaze and says Seizure Kid was suffering from some undiagnosed mental issues and not to tell any other people about this. Next day, the company is addressed by their commander. Says Seizure Guy won't be returning to the company and is being medically discharged. A few people ask what happened, and Commander simply says, "He's getting discharged. That is all I know." Found out a year back that the guy who told me this got drunk one night and was in a fatal crash. Fell out of contact with other basic bros, but I still sometimes think back to that one guy and wonder if the mystery shot had anything to do with it, or if it was a coincidence. I'll give you one that happened to me personally when I went through AIT in Benning. Being in Benning about 6 weeks into AIT. Have fire guard this night. DS in charge of CQ for the night has us do actual head counts, so no one is sneaking off or shit like that. Do my head counts, and everyone is in their rack. All is well. Have to take a piss. Go to latrine. Keep in mind, there's only one door to the latrine, which is why this is weird. As I am pissing, I hear a little scuffle come from one of the stalls and hear audible laughter. Who the fuck is there? Silence. I go to the stall where I heard it. It's locked. I bang on the door with my fist, asking whoever is in there to come on out. Still silence. I say fuck it, and climb over to peer inside the stall. Nothing is in there. The door is still locked though. Realize everyone was head counted and in their racks. I didn't even tell anyone about it. I've got another from when I first got to my duty station and barracks room. I don't think many realize or acknowledge that there is some freaky shit that happens in military places. Second week of getting barracks room at duty station. It's a single room that you have to yourself, but with a connected common room that leads to either the latrine or other guy's room. I get there and try to introduce myself to roommate. No answers ever. Why I'm doing this is because at night, and sometimes through the day, if I'm there, I will hear movement in his room. Walls are thin. Just think I have a recluse roommate, so I don't think much of it. This goes on for about a few weeks. Get a knock on my door. Guy there standing at my door with a bunch of bags is introducing himself. We do our introductions and all that good stuff. A week after this, I have to help one of my squad mates move, and we go to the barracks management. I ask the clerk who I know what was up with my previous roommate, because I got a new one. New one? He says to me. Yeah, the roommate before the one I got just last week. He laughs and says to me he has not had anyone living in that room for like 3 months. My face went. Scary shit in the military. Subax. I know we've got a few guys in here who happen to be in the military. I'm one of them. Most military bases are old as fuck and run down, and our life is so depressing, a ton of us take our own lives. That's not even getting into deployed life, which is a whole nother type of creepy, since you are worried less about ghosts and more about the very real assholes trying to kill you. I'll start with a couple of my own. Be at USMC boot camp on Paris Island. Place is old as fuck, but luckily I lived in the newer squad base over in 3rd Battalion. It's second phase. We have to learn how to shoot our rifles. Move to the oldest, shittiest barracks still used on the island. Move over there. Got fucked up the whole day. Night falls, and our DIs are acting strangely, arguing about who is staying that night. Weird, because they never showed a human side. Kill Hat, we loved him, draws the short straw, walks out of the DI office. Ears, motherfucker. Open, sir. Listen up, motherfuckers. If anything happens tonight, if you hear anything, banging or screaming, wake me up. Some crazy shit has gone down here in the past. Brave recruit asks him what happened. All I have to say is that Ribbon Creek is right across the road there, bitches, and back in the day, fucking none of you guys knew how to swim. Prepare to mount the rack. Upon hearing Ribbon Creek, my asshole clenches. I knew that Ribbon Creek was an area where a whole bunch of recruits drowned in the 50s. I quickly spread the word. Kinda freaked out, but tired as fuck. Time passes. Wake up to a scream in the night. What the fuck? DI comes bursting out of his office, visibly scared. Look around, and it's just me, the DI, and the Firewatch. 3 guys designated to roam around the barracks and clean and shit that are awake. I'm a light sleeper. What is it, recruit? Recruit on Firewatch is shaking. DI asks him what happened. He says he was standing at his post. This was about midnight, when a recruit in skivvies came walking up from downstairs. He is suspicious, because why the fuck is this guy from another platoon coming on our deck? Stops him, tells him to come closer. He's soaking wet, like he had got into the shower with his clothes on. Pale and shaking. Takes every ounce of discipline for him to not nope the fuck out of there. Why are you wet? All Firewatch said was, this recruit does not know how to swim. This recruit does not know how to swim. And out of nowhere, he just sprints away and slams the door on the way out. DI swears, hisses, ears. Me, like a dumbass recruit, says, open, sir. He makes me get out of the rack. Like I thought, I'm the only one awake. DI beckons all 4 of us into the office. Reaches into a box and gives us each a power bar. It was shocking to see him actually care about us. Eat, motherfuckers. We whisper "Aye, sir," and begin devouring the power bar. He reaches into the box and gets one for himself. As he eats, he says that we cannot tell anyone what we saw, for the sake of the platoon. I gather some courage and ask what happened at Ribbon Creek. Like I said, I pretty much knew. Repeats the story I knew, but tells about how it was a drunk DI that made his entire platoon cross the river, causing many to drown. But there is one detail I did not know. This was both the barracks and the deck that the platoon lived on. Nope. Next day, Kill Hat acts like nothing happened and fucks us up as usual. To this day, I don't know what actually happened. DIs play cruel tricks sometimes. It's kind of funny. I've seen them sneak on deck in all black at 2 in the morning and pretend to be robbers and make you tackle them and shit. They like to play mind games too, and part of me wants to believe that what they saw was just a DI from another platoon. I also wonder if me telling all of my fellow recruits about Ribbon Creek just caused their minds to wander or something. It was late, and you were always tired, so maybe he fell asleep. Maybe it was just a dream. But what happened the next week made me think twice. It's a week later. We finally got live ammo on the range, and it's almost kind of fun. DIs are on edge though, cause it's not heard of for suicidal recruits to sneak ammo into the barracks and blow their brains out. I'm on fire watch. I'm the rover, meaning I clean. I head to the bathroom to clean. I'm in there a while when the lights cut. Nothing too unusual. The place is old as fuck. Usually they come right back on. All of a sudden, I hear recruits screaming below me. Not too strange, but kinda odd since it is 1 AM, and technically, we're not allowed to be up yet. Lights are still off. Recruit screaming continues. Suddenly, the showers turn on in the bathroom. Not one, not two, all of them. Nope. I am freaking the fuck out. Recruit screaming intensifies. I'm literally frozen with fear. All of a sudden, light comes back on. Showers turn off. Screaming stops. Run out to find my firewatch buddies. They ask why I'm freaking out. Tell them about the bathroom. They ask if we should wake the senior up. I puss out, because I'm more afraid of him than fucking ghosts. I refuse to go back into the head and clean. Next day, I'm ruthlessly IT'd because it was dirty. Worth it. I'm on the range and happen across a guy from the deck below. Ask him what the fuck they were doing last night. He gives me an odd look, says they did not do anything last night. I tried to rationalize that one too. The lights and showers turning on was not that unusual, and the recruit screaming could be anyone, I guess. Still creepy as fuck. Alright, last one from boot camp. Someone above me was talking about how Paris Island is bad juju. This is 100% true. This is an island infested with alligators, where they drive you around in circles and make you put your head down so you have no sense of direction or where you're at, and people still try to escape. Tons of people have died on this island, both recruits and drill instructors. Well-known story is the DI who jumped on a pile of boxes, screamed, eyes. About 200 recruits were now looking at this guy and used the recruit's M16 to blow his brains out. The place is miserable, and tons of recruits take their own lives too, especially in these barracks because it's the first time we have ammo and our rifles are near us at all times. It also used to be inhabited by Indians, so it's basically a recipe for disaster. It's senior sit-down time where we have a little discussion with the senior drill instructor. Senior asks us if any of us have ever seen a ghost. Us four, who kinda fucking did, keep our mouths shut. He says he saw one, about 12 years ago, on Paris Island. Same barracks, different deck. Says their DI told him a story about how recruits were constantly sneaking ammo in, sometimes by shoving it up their asshole and shooting themselves. He thought nothing of it, went to sleep that night. Woke up, or thought he woke up, to see a recruit holding a rifle, pointing it directly at him. Huge no-no. He screams out, and the recruit vanishes, but leaving his rifle. At this point, he actually wakes up. Laying on his chest is a rifle, his rifle, pointed directly at his head. We all think he's fucking with us, cause he was a douchebag. Later that night, Firewatch is roving around, doing their shit. All of a sudden, recruit screams in his sleep. Nothing too unusual, happens all the time, cause boot camp is messed up, but then he sits bolt upright, gets out of the rack, and goes out of the rack, and starts putting every weapon on safe. Putting every weapon on fire, not safe. Big no-no. Firewatch rushes to stop him. Dude is reciting the Rifleman's Creed. This is my rifle. There are many like it, but this one is mine. My rifle is my best friend. It is my life. This is some fucked up metal jacket shit. They try to stop him, and finally he stops. He was sleepwalking. Has no recollection of this shit. Has no history of sleepwalking either. Says the last thing he remembers was a dream. A recruit pointing his rifle at him, like the senior's dream, but this time, he felt compelled to get up and kill everyone else. begs Firewatch not to tell because A, sleepwalking will get him kicked out, and B, he had a dream about killing everyone and got up to put their weapons on fire. All of a sudden, a tap. It's the window to the DI hut. The senior is looking at them, smirks, and puts the blinds down. This one just seems like a bad dream, but it was just as scary as the other two to my young, impressionable recruit mind. We left that fucking place the next week and never had any more ghosts. I was one of the first responders to Fukushima. Work in reactor department on a carrier. On watch in the plant. Ready to pull into our first port of the deployment. South Korea. Fuck yeah. North Korea threatens to turn Seoul into a sea of fire if my specific ship pulls into South Korea. Whatever. I'm edgy as fuck and it's time to make plans for lunch in Seoul. Think it's cool to have lunch and beers in a city under nuclear threat. Night before port call. I'm on watch in the plant. Watch supervisor comes down to tell us that Japan was hit with a tsunami. We are going to South Korea. Redirect to Japan to provide aid. See on news that Japan's nuclear power plant is on fire. Japan denies radiation leakage. Get closer to Japan. Our sensors start going crazy. What the fuck? Is it our plant? Are we leaking? US Navy puts pressure on Japan. They finally admit they are leaking. Huge radiation cloud off coast of Japan. My captain decides it will be a good idea to sail through it twice. Sleep with your gas masks under your pillow if it makes you feel safe, but it won't. Direct quote from CL. Pick very much related. Be in a camp. Get woken up during the night. Private Anon, go deliver this note to Camp X. Regards, NCL. Nice thing to know at 3 am.png. A starless Nordic night, as black as pitch, and a road coated with freshly fallen snow to ski on. What more motivation do I need? 3/4 of the journey completed. Felt uneasy as fuck for a while now. Feels like I am being watched. No sounds, but my breath and the skis sliding on the snow. All those spoopy skinwalker stories, just adding to my rising anxiety. Feeling tired and thirsty, but I'm too scared to stop or look around me. Swear I can hear something moving behind me now. Ski a bit faster. Hear it get closer. Ski faster. Hear it get even closer. It is something big. Ski even faster. Too fucking scared to look. If I can't see it, it can't take me. Can hear it right behind me. Feel a hand gently land and squeeze my shoulder. Nope, 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 nope. Clench my asshole tighter than it's ever been in order to avoid tactically shitting my pants. Find a gear I didn't even know I had and start skiing at the speed of 1,000 Jaegers. Footsteps getting further and further. Don't slow down. Don't look back. See the camp. Halt. Who goes there? Watch the fuck out. Something is chasing me. Dive into the foxhole and tactically shoulder my RK. The guardsmen see me shitting out complete commie blocks, furniture and all, and shit tiny Lego bricks themselves. We just sit there for 5 minutes, staring at the road I came from. Finally, a deer emerges. I told the story and they sent me to a psychiatric for an evaluation. Got clean papers. Got told it was my tired mind playing tricks on me. I got nicknamed Speedy Gonzalez. Be conscripted Greek guy. Be stationed at a mechanized infantry battalion near the Turkish border. All facilities are total shit, despite being located inside the larger brigade camp. The place is depressing as fuck. Fog, crows, sharp cold, gloomy sky at all times. My company's in charge of guard duty in one of the forts at the border. Imagine a small apartment, a bedroom, with 6 single bunks, kitchen, WC, tiny living room, and officers' quarters. Be at morning report at base camp. Staff sergeant asks for volunteers for a week at the fort. I've been in the military for some time. Thought I was the shit by then. Raised my fucking hand all like, Private Anon would be honored, sir. Thinking it would be cool to get away from my douchebag sadist captain screams for a while. Still regretting it. We depart at 1700, and it is already dark when we get to the fort half an hour later. Driver nopes the fuck out in a hurry. That can't be good. Be me, another private buddy of mine, and a loner from a nearby battalion cause we are short on people, plus the aforementioned staff sergeant. Guarding the place pretty much equals walking up and down the dirt road in front of it. Staff sergeant be like, guard duty begins at 2200. Feel free to screw around until then. Pretty cool guy. Sergeant is watching TV. The loner guy is cleaning his rifle. My buddy and I are outside chatting. He's been here before a few times. Asks me if I know about the night visitors. What? Supposedly, an entire squad took their own life back in the day in this very fort, and they roam around at night. Yeah, right. Wave it off as your garden variety army BS too spooky story. The time comes. My bodyguard's first. The other guy is next, and I got the third shift. 2 hours go by without any incident. My buddy comes back, wakes up the other guy, and tells him to get ready. Can't sleep, so I suggest we watch some late night TV. Buddy agrees, and goes to get a bottle of water from the kitchen. The other guy is pretty nervous. Nevertheless, he suits up, grabs rifle, and heads outside. My buddy is still not back from the kitchen. I go look for him. Kitchen is in a separate room behind the main building, so I gotta go outside. Too bored to dress up, just put on boots and jacket. Pants are for pussies. Head outside, and see flashlight beam dancing in the fog in the dirt road in front of the fort. Protocol dictates that no lights of any kind are allowed during guard duty at night. Fucking pissed at the loner guy, cause he's gonna get us in trouble. Fortunately, staff sergeant is sleeping. Skip down the front steps, ready to give the guy a piece of my mind. Legs are freezing because just boxers. Guy's got his back turned on me, standing still just outside the main gates. His flashlight is aimed at a shadowy figure in the fog. Nope for a bit and start walking. Lol, it's probably just my buddy trying to scare the guy. Psst, get your ass over here. Dancing with the Stars rerun is on, and there's some hot babes, comes from behind me. Turn around to see my buddy at the door of the building, waving at me. Nope. Turn on the spot and scream. Anon, get the fuck away from that thing, to the other guy. Guy drops flashlight, and runs back inside with me. The three of us are just standing at the door, and looking at a pitch black and really tall thing, walking slowly in front of the flashlight. Staff sergeant wakes up, storming out of his room, all like, the fuck's all that noise about? We are all speechless and scared shitless. The thing is no longer there. We told him what happened, but he did not believe us, naturally. Needless to say, the next 6 days went by really fucking hard. Shit felt like a month. I have a few stories from my military service. Not too brick-shitting, but I started to remember while reading this thread. Be me 19. Start military service as a comm trainee in Finland. Lots of inner woods exercises, and lots of night patrolling. Be at a week-long exercise, in a big forested military area. Get squad tent set up at about 2 AM, and I get the first gate watch. No lights to be used at night, only night goggles. Taking a piss, or finding your way in the dark was a pain. Get to guard post. Luckily, there was another MP trainee there as well, to keep me company. Smoke cigarettes, talking about bitches and stuff. Dead silent. Everyone who is not patrolling should be sleeping. Boring as fuck, we were playing around with some night goggles the MP had with him. Cool shit. I can see everything. Hear rustling in the forest on the other side of the road where we were sitting. See a dark figure for a second, moving very slowly between the trees. Probably someone taking a piss. Let's shout for password. No password heard. Yelled for the password a second time. No answer. Put on night vision goggles to check, but no one there. The trees were so thin that you would see if he was trying to get away, or hear sprinting. But nothing. The MP radioed to guard base, asking if someone was doing around there. Nope. All our guys were sleeping. Probably someone taking a piss. Felt really weird. The guy just vanished in a couple of seconds. Everyone had stories of their night patrols, of seeing shadows in the dark, and people who did not respond to the password challenge. No one was dumb enough to open fire and wake everyone up because, well, fuck running and staying up the night. Didn't think much of it until now, and always shrugged them off as the brain playing tricks on you in the dark. But being posted as a guard alone in the middle of the night in a forest is the most unreal thing I can think of.